it's me, Morgan, again. I just wanted to do another video. Things are going really good right now, and this video is going to be centered around, it is possible to it's kind of going to, again, no formality, which is ironic because I'm one that loves to have an outline and notes, but either way, it's from the heart. So either way, the structure of this video is pretty much, it is possible to have a successful co-parenting relationship, as well as it is possible to bounce back with someone from the most, what could feel like the most lowest of low, to where there's just no return. In your heart, your heart's so cold to this person that there's just no return. They've hurt you so bad, and they've put you on blast. They've done so much stuff to you that there's just no return. Okay, it's possible to bounce back. I'm making this video to possibly restore faith and hope into co-parenting and relationships overall. This is for any and everybody. It's not just for people who co-parent, and it's not just for people who are in relationships with no kids, etc., or just whatever your situation is. Everybody can take something from this. And the reason I say that is because me and my son's father are in a very content a content situation right now. And a lot of people are like, what y'all be doing? Y'all be open? No, it's nothing like that. It's like, seriously. But, guys, it's possible to have a good relationship. It is. It's possible to have a good relationship. I feel like I always have lemonade. Okay. But anyway, it's possible. All right. Without going into detail, me and my son's father have been dealing with each other off and on in relationships, best friends, everything, for about 6 years now. Pretty much since I started college in 2011, which, either way. And it's funny, looking back on it, it could be a coincidental situation that looks like that's trickery and looks like it's meant to be set up. Y'all gotta watch for those. Some situations look like they're meant, like this could be the one, we keep meeting up, but no, that could be a trick, like a trick sign. So watch out for those. Either way, it kind of seemed like, looking back on it, it's like, what if we kept getting pushed together? Because, when I moved to West Virginia, he was my neighbor, and then I never really thought much of him. Go to college, and my friends are like, oh, we got somebody we think you'd really like, and I was like, cool. Go out to eat with everybody, it's him. And I'm like, weren't we neighbors? But either way, so yeah, and then from there, when we met in college, it was just we were pretty much rocking ever since, whether we were together, whether we were with other people, whether we were just quote unquote best friends. We always had each other's back, regardless of most of the time to count. I'll say that. We always had each other's back for the most part, regardless of what we did to each other, how we hurt each other. We always had each other's back, and we rocked like that. So there was times we were on, and in the beginning it was bad. Then it got good. Then it got bad. Cut to, I dropped out of college. I flunked out of college, really. Either way, y'all, I had a full scholarship. I'm gonna just go ahead and put this out there. I had a full scholarship, and I messed that up. And I'm going back to school now. And I'm a mommy, and it's cool. And we still gonna get it. Okay, we still gonna get it. But either way, so, what was I saying? But either way, so we was rocking like that for a long time, and then I ended up, we both still lived in the same hometown, but I went to Marshall University, and my hometown was maybe an hour away, so we were, whether I was at college and he was back home, either way, we always still communicated, regardless whether we were together or not. So we rocked like that. And, when I came back home from college, from screwing up college, and then I came back home to live with my dad, we rocked still. And, despite who I was talking to, whatever. Wait a minute. That sounds bad. Let me rephrase that. It was always a situation where we were always honest. Like, people always, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was always one of those situations that I've always been, for the most part, and especially now, just to the point with what my intentions are overall. Sometimes too honest. But either way, it was never like some shady type stuff, unless we were hurting each other, if that makes sense. But either way, when I came back home, of course, we were talking, whatever you want to call it. And then I moved to North Carolina. Hurt his heart. And to go back a little bit, I didn't appreciate him. This guy, he was and is, has always been a well-mannered guy. His mom, he was a mama's boy, so that was a good thing. But everybody around town knows him and knew him to be like, oh, this guy's like really, like, he's a decent guy. He's well-mannered, he helps people, if he can, so that's the kind of reputation he had around town for the most part. And then, I moved away. Well, I'm saying that to say that this guy really, like, he loved me. He loved me. He had a crazy way of showing it. He had some messed up ways. He did some really low down things to hurt me, but it took me now to realize that this guy, he might not have loved me at the time, or he might not have just know how to show it. I still don't know how to view that part yet. But either way, this guy really, really cared about me. I will say that. He cared about me. And it broke his heart when I moved. I moved with my sister. Long story short, that whole experience, nothing due to her, my own doings. But my whole experience when I moved to North Carolina was horrible, but I needed it. I needed it to, get some street smarts about myself, to realize that, hey, you got some growing up to do, you got some learning to do, you need to learn how to fend for yourself, what it's like to be homeless, you need to know what it's like to really be by yourself so that you could depend on yourself. So that was a season that I needed. But regardless, I was there for like maybe 1-2 years, just struggling and talking to guys, no good guys, like guys that have done the downmost dirty stuff, guys. I won't even go into some of the stuff that I got myself into. I just won't. It's not important. Either way, I messed with some really dirty down that I didn't know were. One, for the most part. It was one consistent guy. I mean, there was like maybe one here and there, but like my time in North Carolina, I had one boyfriend. This boyfriend was the worst. This boyfriend was okay, let me say this, because I try not to bash anybody, because everybody's a learning experience. So let me back up a little bit. This guy, I always see the good in people. He was a good guy. He was in a really bad place in his life, right? There was no way that he could show me. He didn't even know how to love himself, let alone anybody else. So and I learned from it. And I didn't leave on bad terms. I left on learning terms, if that makes sense. So I won't put him out there in that light. But either way, I had some experiences that really made me appreciate my son's father when I came back. So I came back a couple years later. He was happy. He was with someone pretty much as soon as I came back. They were done, and like, that's just what it was. But but anyway, so yeah, we started our little relationship back. He got his little swaggy up, had his little car, had his little swag going on, and I was like, when I moved away, I was like, this guy, like, I don't know if it's really meant for me and this guy to be together anyway, talking about my son's father. And I had pretty much gotten to a point with him, just like I had consistently over and over throughout the whole process, got to a point where it's like, I don't know if this is meant to be. I just know I felt like maybe we're on two different wavelengths, maybe we're just not, I don't know. So I had pretty much given up on this situation. So I I pretty much knew there was no going back. I felt like I was going to come back. We would be friends or not friends, whatever, and that would be what it was. Well, we legit had a relationship. Okay. Well, that's when I got pregnant with my son. I got pregnant with my son right around the time that I moved back. And which scared me, might I mind you, but either way, yes, I got pregnant when me and him. The reason it scared me was because it was so close to me ended my relationship with the person that I was with in North Carolina. So I did not expect for me and my son's father to pick up the way we did, just because I was so adamant about not being in a relationship with him, that when we took off the way we did and just picked up where we left off and pretty much were best friends right away, and it just happened. And guys, the way that life plays out, like, I'll just say this. I just really didn't see pregnancy as being an option for me, and I was kind of somewhat okay with that, because this world, I didn't want to birth a child into this crazy world. That was always my fear. So I was like, maybe, But then it happened, and then I was shocked when she told me. I was like, yo, like, wait a minute, you must be talking to the person in the next room. Nope, not me. But yeah, and I had my son, and we went through hell. I thought we went through hell before. Oh, we went through the worst hell. Add my hormones, add us being scared, because we had talked about, with us being consistent, of course we talked about kids one day and marriage one day, and he was always so adamant that he would marry me one day, or he was always so adamant that we would have children, or that he wanted to have children with me one day. But with the way that the relationship was going, we didn't really know. Well, cut to, had my son, we went through hell. Something happened that, that pretty much separated us, and, we had a really tough situation for a while, to where we weren't talking. And then so some things happened in the meantime, and then that was even worse and just added fuel to the fire. And then to the point where, when, like, I don't know how it happened, because it's starting to get to be a long video. Either way, here we are now. My son's almost 2. We are in the best place of our life. The best place that I've ever been with anybody. And guys, I'm just going to say this to say, and this is what I want you guys to take away from. This is why it's possible. First of all, you have to see what you're doing in a relationship. I know that's, we teach people to have high standards and not stand for anything. No, it's not you, it's them. You know what I mean? And it's important to keep that, but you do have to rein it in and say, hey, what am I doing? I did not, all this time that he was doing all this dog crap to me, I did not realize that I was not making him want to stay. I was not talking to him like a man. I was not respecting him like a man, because he was doing things that made me not respect him as a man. So the way that I viewed him is the way that I talked to him, and that's the way that he perceived me to perceive him. Therefore, he acted that way even more. I had to learn that I was one of the biggest contributors, and I always thought that it was him. I knew that I had my problems, but I didn't know to the extent of how much I contributed. Until I realized how much I contributed and how grimy I talked to this, and not even with bad intentions. I felt justified in everything I did, but the way I delivered it, it wasn't receivable. It wasn't receivable. You could tell anybody something and it could be right, but if you tell them in a negative light, and when they're not ready to receive it, they will not receive it. It's all about how you visualize energy and moments, and you know what I mean? So I say all that to say, guys, it's possible. Look at yourself. Learn how to talk to somebody. Learn how to communicate. I know it sounds so cliche, but our biggest thing was communication. And I know you hear this too. You have to learn somebody's love language. You have to learn somebody's love language. because I will admit, my son's father and I are not together at this moment in time, but we are at an understanding that we are working on both of us individually and ourselves. We understand that we are falling back for each other. I understand now that I see him in a different light than I've ever saw him, and I've seen not for once how lucky I am. That's the thing, ladies. A lot of times we get these things about us to where we're like, he should be lucky, he lucky, I'm bad, blah, blah, blah. If you got a man, I don't care if he got some little flaws, like if he got a little flaw that you made, that sometimes we beef ourselves up too much and we don't realize we're being hypocritical. We're judging them, their little flaws, such like anything. We're judging them and we do the same things, whatever. But look and see what you're doing, and also treat somebody like you want to be treated. You know what I mean? Lift that person up. Now, co-parenting. If you don't, okay, so because again, me and him have decided at this moment in time, we both understand that this could change. But at this moment, we both see ourselves getting married, and we both are taking it slow. Okay, and we both know what needs to be done before that happens, right? And we both know that in the meantime, something else could happen. So we have that visual we have that clarity about it. There's no confusion. If you are just strictly co-parenting and you guys know for a fact that you guys know it's not working, we are not compatible. There's a way to co-parent. There's a way to successfully co-parent. You have to understand, and I hate it because I tried so hard not to be another statistic, which we finally ended up in, for the moment, are not, but I was always scared of being another statistic. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, you have to realize, this stuff happens. It's been happening. People co-parent. That's what they do now. Things don't work out. People have a child with people they don't want all the time. And just because you have that child, that does not mean anything. That child is equally y'all's, but y'all still have y'all's own individual things going on. And you have to respect that. You have to respect that there is a chance someone else could be in your child's life. If you guys understand that, you have to come to terms with that. It's going to be hard to see pictures. It's going to be hard, but you have to understand they're going to move on. As long as you're doing your part as the individual mother or father, and you're still being there to where that kid doesn't have to question the situation, if they're able to comprehend it, there should be no issues or insecurities, because that baby know who his mom and dad is. I know there's I know there's the fear of seeing someone else with your child when you're not around them. For one, you don't know what they're going to do to them. For two, I don't want them having my love. I'm jealous. I could see that. I could empathize with that. I don't get off my baby. I don't, you know what I mean? Even if you don't want the mom or dad, get off my child. That's instinct. That's instinct, right? But you have to learn that. And then also, you have one of the other biggest things, and that I'm going to get off here. So the first thing, like I said, my memory, guys. Okay. Whatever. Look at yourself, see what you're doing. Everything just kind of ties in. Okay. So we're not going to do the 1, 2, 3. What I said was my advice before. Moving forward, the last thing that I have to say about it is that one thing that helped me in my relationship / co-parentship / what our situation is that anything, in any relationship, friendship, whatever, you have to respect that person as their own individual. You do not own them. And it's easy, of course, and anybody will say, well, of course I don't own them. But we do things on a day-to-day basis with our significant others that tries to show dominance, or that we take ownership of that. We relationships now are that's mine, that's mine, that's mine's. That's not yours. It's yours, but it's technically not yours till you're married. So let's start there. But without involving all of that in it, if you're in a relationship with somebody, you have to understand that you guys are two individuals with two completely different circumstances and experiences choosing to come together, and knowing that at any given moment you guys could part. Know that that person might not be yours forever. There's somebody out there that might appreciate them a little bit more than you do, or just might be a little bit more compatible. They're not yours. You have to respect that person for them having friends before you, continuing to have friends after you, liking to play video games before you accepting that, and then going into the relationship still knowing they like to play video games. They had this life before you met them, and they're going to continue to have this life. You have to figure out, how can we match our lives and be together so that I can support you in your life and the choices that you decide to make, and vice versa. Now, if you do it right and you filter and you set your standards right and you learn to prioritize and maybe not be so hard on the maybe things that you consider deal breakers, but maybe not be so as important as other big things that are really hard to come by, such as a good father, such as somebody who will do anything that you ask them to, somebody that you can be the ugliest that you could possibly be and be the weirdest you could be, make the ugliest faces, fart in front of, take a poo in front of. If y'all do that, whatever, hey, it is what it is. But whatever the case is, and still think you're beautiful, that to me, that's what give me that. I don't care if, give me that. You can have a little odor from time to time. Because every one of y'all will be lying if y'all said y'all kept y'all's hygiene on fleek 100% of the time. Some of y'all be stinking and be bad. Be wearing fresh clothes and be stinking. So don't play me. Sometimes what you see on the outside is not what you get. When you get to know that person, you see. You give me this, that, once you start to mature and see and start to appreciate that person, those things, you're like, you know what? And I done dealt with enough to know. I done dealt with enough. Trust, I done dealt with a good amount of people to know. And I know that sounds bad. I'm not saying it to, maybe I just learned quicker, because maybe the way I'm expressing it sounds like it really is a lot of people. Maybe I just seen them. I don't know how to operationally define a lot, okay? That's different depending on what you consider a lot. What might be a lot to one might not be a lot to somebody else, so we're not going to go there. But either way, I've dealt with enough to know that I appreciate and I am lucky to have this man, and that's when you get to the point when you're ready to be married, when you see a person in that light. You want to do any and everything you can to make that person happy. You want that person. It's not about you. You're focusing on that other person because that other person is focusing on you. You guys neither one of y'all are losing anything. You know what I mean? And that to me is how you can have a successful co-parentship, relationship, friendship, anything. So I'll leave it there. And again, I appreciate you guys for watching. Feel free to like and subscribe if you have ideas for other videos. Any comments, anything. I'm always open. So thank you guys, and be blessed.